I see,
That should do it. All right, now then.
I'll tell you something though, I do like to go fast. So, let's hit it.
This is a typical city streetcar, top speed of about 25,
Let's do it.
maybe.
I'll take whatever it'll do. As long as it's deemed fast, then
Just
that's
run
good
you
enough.
through the controls. This is the key, on off. That's forwards. We don't need to touch that again. It goes to reverse. This is the brake, and we'll come back to that. It's very, very different from the car brake. So we'll spend,
Because it's an air brake
yeah,
system.
we'll spend some time with that. The circuit breaker's off. Now then, what you've got here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points.
Mhm.
That is called full series, and then more points up to what we call full parallel. And that has to do with the voltage going into the motors. There's 4 motors,
1 inch axle.
and yes, and this just switches them electrically.
When you say switches them electrically, you mean, in what sense?
Well, in series, it puts each pair of motors in series with each other, meaning the current runs into one motor,
Right.
through
To
that
the
motor,
next
into the
one.
second one,
Right.
and then down the ground.
And you see these are in
And
parallel?
then it switches into parallel. The difference being
I
you've got
have a
600
feeling
volts
she
on
went
the
to buy
overhead
one
wire.
card to put
When
to
it's
give
in
$20
series,
bill for
the most any
Bill's
motor can
bubble
get is
brush
300
over there to get our kitchen.
because they're in series with each other.
$20, she said, "Sure,
In
so
parallel,
take it to
they
your
get
bill."
600
I
apiece.
think she probably went to get one card.
And
she
so
started
how does that
saving
change
all
the
money
output?
for it.
Presumably
The
it
speed.
alters the,
Last minute, I
Oh,
can't do
oh,
this.
okay.
Yeah. And don't think of this as a gearbox. It's a series of resistance. So
like
I've got 600 volts
Segmented
here,
rheostat or something.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh,
In
and asked me
essence,
to dance.
what you can't do is run for any length of time in these intermediate points because you're burning off that extra electricity as heat into the car. And we don't want to do that. So the way this works, and you need some leverage on it because of the angle, you come onto the first point, 1, 2, 1, 2, and just work your way up to whatever speed you're trying to get to. When you
So
get
I-
there, turn it off.
So as soon as you reach cruising speed,
Yep.
I didn't realize.
does that turn off the
the-
power?
yep.
Or, but you said the car will just coast.
Yep, it's power on and coast, power on and coast, power on and coast. So when you've lost
Oh, all right.
a
So,
little bit of the speed,
but always when adding power, you give it the 2-second pause between steps?
or
Or,
it depends how long you've had it shut off for. But we'll show you that.
okay.
Once you're in series, you can stay there all day. Because there are no resistors in the circuit. The 600 volts has gone through the 2 motors on each drum, down the ground. No waste, no wasted electricity. And then parallel, there's a big step to that one. And now wait for the speed.
Well, the fact that you have,
The important thing to remember is when you shut off the power, no matter where you're coming from, do it quickly. Because as you do, it goes spark, 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 spark. And if you do it slowly, you get arcs going inside.
and then there's a side effect.
This is the brake. Now think of this as blowing up a balloon. It's not like a car where you press the brake and you can then modulate that. All right? There's none of that with this. That is full release. This is lap. It holds whatever pressure is in the braking system. Right now there is no pressure in the braking system, but it's holding that no pressure. Okay? So what we do is kind of pump it up. This one's a bit stiff, but
Now, are you filling a tank?
no, this is actually putting the brake shoes on. This is actually putting the brake shoes on. The tank is full.
Okay.
All right. This is between the tank and the brakes, and this is putting air into the brakes. And I'm doing it exactly the same amount each time, because I can't tell how hard my foot is on the brake. If you will. Okay. So then I've decided I've got far too much brake on here, I'm going to release it in exactly the same manner. So that if I do a full release, let's say I'm just doing an ordinary stop, 1, 2, 3, got 3 shots of air down there, release 1, release 2, release 3, there shouldn't be anything left. So that's how we put it on. You only need really on this car a couple of shots, but the important thing is you go, give it a shot, and it's always back to this left position. And then you release exactly the same way. Okay. I think we're ready to go. I think we're going to be going in. Oh no, we've got a car coming in.
Can I practice while we wait? or-
Yes.
I mean, I just wonder if I can operate the control, just get a sense of
Yeah, you should.
how stiff are they or whatever, I have no idea, so.
I should have done that. Yeah, go for it.
So now you just turned it off probably?
No, this won't move unless this is on, but the power's on, so it's not gonna go.
So I can do this?
Yes.
You said,
Yeah, now if you stand over to the right here,
can I shift it back to
yeah,
off?
hard, that's it. If you stand over to the right here, you get better leverage.
Okay.
And you don't need much force to it, but it's that's it, you need to come onto that.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, or am I doing this wrong?
No. Yeah. Now, if you do that, again, you missed the point a little bit, you came back to it. Don't do that, go to the next one.
No.
Won't do any harm, but it'll do. It might do damage going backwards. You never go backwards on these unless you go all the way up.
Now, you did say that it's safe, I guess, to leave it at one of these settings. And
No, you don't run in these. If you,
that's right, bring it to this point.
yeah, if you get up to,
You did say at some point you can leave it, or I
Well-
guess you could just bring it up to a certain point.
yes, and if that's the speed you want to be at,
Right.
turn it off and then come back to that same point.
All right, so when you say turn it off, what, with this, by shifting it back to off?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's,
That's it. And do that quickly and firmly.
okay.
Try
And then, so,
Try it again. Try it with your left hand, because that's really the
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2,
all the way to 6.
2, 1, 2, 1, 2, go past that.
You did, so what you want to do is shut it off. If the car were running, we'd be going quite some speed. Shut it off fast, now come straight back up. The detent should be, should find these for you.
I'm not quite general enough.
It's not gentle. It's a combination of age of this and just a feel for it. That's all it
Right.
is.
I have no feel for it.
You will have
But
it
this
if you're
is
right.
fun.
Now
All right.
shut it off quickly.
Now, here I'm using two hands, so you suggested you do this with just, so
Yeah.
I suppose an operator would normally stand this way and do all this with the left hand probably?
That's right.
No double-handed arrangement?
Not really.
Action.
And the brakes on your right hand.
Now, this is a hand brake probably, so,
Parking brake.
parking brake, so in an emergency, what is the operator of this vehicle called? The engineer or
The
just the
motorman.
driver? The
Motorman. On a two-man vehicle, a motorman and a conductor. On a one-man vehicle, an operator, because he's doing both.
He's the operator in the one-man case, you said?
Because he has to do tickets as
Now,
well.
motorman, you sound as though you're from England.
Right.
So is that the English term, or is that an
No,
American?
it's American too. No, they call them tram drivers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, try the brakes.
Okay, so, let's see, in the case of the brake, I've forgotten already,
Right, release it first.
and I release it
To the left.
to the left, that's right.
Okay, now bring it back to the left position. Now give it a shot of air, the way I showed you. That's one huge chunk of air. That's all right.
That's quite a jolt.
Yeah, but that is one huge chunk of air.
So I should be,
So release that. And see if you can give it one little shot of air. Think of it as blowing up a balloon. You just want to. Okay. Yeah, this one is stiff. But
so just,
just go. Okay, that's still a huge chunk of air. I think it's just because you're going too far. That's all.
okay.
All right.
Oh, yes, I did. I mean, I thought I would just go all the way. So I really only need to just push it over, what, how much,
Yeah, and you can go all the way
That
over
far?
as long as you do it quickly. You know.
right.
You know, it'll just put a small amount of air in there. But what we really want is just. And you can hear the brakes going on.
Yeah.
Listen. Creaking.
Yes.
Just a little shot at 45 degrees.
So now you have, I suppose this controls flow from a tank, an air, a
Right,
tank of
you've got a
compressed
big
air.
tank of air.
So what's charging that? Is that
That
that other motor
you hear,
there?
right,
Okay.
yeah, it's automatic.
So I just have to do, I've got that.
Yeah, a little bit more. Yeah. As long as they're all the same, that's fine, all right?
So you want that
But you need,
evenness
they
or
need, yeah,
consistency,
yeah.
and I imagine that'll result in a kind of a smooth
Yep.
stop or
and a smooth release, because, excuse me. Once you've got the brakes, once you've got the brakes on, let's say with 3 shots of air, as the car slows down, those brakes become more and more effective, and you're going, stonewalling is what we call it. So if you've got your 3 shots of air on, you want, as you come to a standstill, you want to release at least 1, maybe even 2, and then that slackens the brakes a little bit. You don't stop as hard.
so you can, so I imagine somebody who's adept at all this would be able to control the smooth way, you'd be able to have
Yeah,
a
but it takes
gradual
a-
and smooth stop and just kind of.
But it takes an awful lot of practice.
I imagine, I think this feels, I mean, it's stiff and it feels somewhat crude in a sense, I suppose, so I imagine it would
No,
take
the
some
way-
degree of practice.
The way we teach enables us to run more or less any car in the fleet, because every car is different, this end to that end, uphill, downhill, full of passengers, dry weather, wet weather. Every trip is different, every movement is different, and we have to be able to deal with it. So that's the reason we teach the way we do. So it's, the basic technique is not difficult, but matching it to.
Well, right, you're right, but this is all pretty simple, but I can imagine
I
it
think
takes
what
some
happened-
finesse,
When the Atlantic Shoreline showed up here in the early 1900s and they needed 50 motormen and conductors, what did they do? They went down to the unemployment line in Kennebunk, signed them all up.
That's right.
You're not going to get many brain surgeons that way.
So we are awaiting the arrival of
Yes,
the trolley, right?
yes,
And then,
yeah.
then we take the, no, it's not the main line, but we go to the, you do call it the main line?
Maine with an E.
So you just left that open, we're fully applying the brakes.
The brakes are fully on now, control is off.
When this was new, was it possible to operate this sort of gently, or with those lights?
It
forward?
should be a little bit smoother than it is. These cars sit in the barns all winter, they're serviced when they come out. This one is not bad compared with some of them. There are better ones. It's just the age of the thing, a little bit of oil here and there and that kind of stuff. If I took the cover off now, I'll show you one in the display room there, which has the cover off. There's probably 30 big electrical contacts in here that slide over each other, and they can't be oiled or greased per se. And they are stiff just because they're copper to copper contacts and big ones. So that's all part of it. Some of our cars, the whole thing is so worn out, it's like winding up a watch. Click, 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 click.
Is it difficult to find parts for these units? I imagine these are pretty old.
In fact, some years ago, a company in Boston Boston was demolishing a huge manufacturing plant. They used to make submarines in there, massive, massive hangar. And it had, I think, 3 electric cranes on girders running across the building. I think they could move up and down. And those cranes were installed in the 1920s. And they had fundamentally the same controller as this, the same type of controller. And they were still using these things. They're capable of lifting, 100 tons of submarines. And they were demolishing the whole thing. One of our members worked there, and he knew they had a supply of the copper contacts that go inside here, still in boxes from 1920. And we got something close to, I think probably about a ton and a half, of what was basically pure copper and worth thousands. Melted down, but worth millions to us, because it'll keep our controllers going, or some of our controllers going for years and years and years. It was fabulous.
What a wonderful discovery.
Yeah. And we were supposed to get the crane controllers because they'd be perfectly usable in this operation. I don't know what happened to that. We didn't get them.
Shame. Well, so I don't know how many trolley museums there are around, but are you all competing for these kinds of parts? Or are there small
We are-
manufacturers
no.
who custom building for you?
There's a little bit of custom manufacturing. Things like light bulbs, those easy to develop. Well, I suppose they are. These are called street railway bulbs. They're specially built, specially the internals to them are not like a domestic light bulb. You could use it as domestic light bulb, but the internals are different. They don't make those anymore, and we were able to get, I think, 3,000, which are in one of the storage cars somewhere. You can use regular domestic light bulbs. So from the standpoint of having the car lit up, it's not an issue, but there's something to do with the way domestic light bulbs fail when they fail is different from this, and can be damaging potentially. We do have some cars with big long tubular bulbs with multiple filaments inside them. Those are about $10 a piece, and they're made, 3,000 or 4,000 at a time in Holland, and we typically buy the whole lot and then distribute them to other museums, sell them to other museums. We do the same thing, or other museums having us do this rattan weave. It's a very special transit weave, which you
Sure, 303 dispatcher.
can't buy commercially. And so we have, a couple of miles of this woven, and then we'll tell the museums, okay, we've got a couple of miles of this, we only need
Quarter mile.
this much,
Sure. You've got a pretty elaborate track arrangement there.
Yeah. I'll tell you the story when we get to Talbot.
Okay. It's quite a curiosity. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Was this all built for this museum, or was it
Right.
here?
Yeah, this was all farmland. The original Atlantic shoreline ran pretty much where the front gate is, then up the other side of those buses, up, and that gap in the, see where the orange bus is on the right?
Yes.
Ran just in front of that, and then it joins what is now our main line, the other side of that barn. You'll see when we have that.
It's very impressive. This fancy track that switches,
Yeah.
connected track, etc. Wow.
So all of this was laid, all the buildings built by volunteers. We've been here since 1979, so it's 75 years to get as far as we have.
Wow.
$11.60. Tow part number 1, thank you. Just waiting for a conductor and we'll be
Ready. I am. I can't guarantee that I'll deliver a perfect ride. In fact, I suspect it'll be rather imperfect. But I have received my instruction and I've practiced a bit. And I'm ready.
Great.
Anxious to try it.
Just a couple seconds. Now I'm going to stand on this side of you,
Good.
so that if you freeze up or whatever,
Panic.
I'll just push you that way, because if I do anything else, if I were the other side,
Right.
you would release the brake and put more power on. If I do it that way, this will go off and the brake will go on. So,
Okay. That's
and this door's
sensible.
open, so I can leave any time I need to.
Right. Why is that door closed, Mike? What?
So
I
I
don't
can't
have
get
that
this
option.
I can't get this one closed.
You know, I knew somebody who was from England who loved trains, and he had been in the U.S. for many years. He's an older man who traveled over to England annually to work on work at a railroad museum or something.
yeah.
We'd go there and, you know, I don't know, they were building a steam engine or something like that.
A lot of
He
people,
loved it. He would go there, you know, for a couple of weeks every year.
there's a lot of people do that. I go every Easter, not to work necessarily, but always visit the same two reserve steam train lines, and they look forward to me, being there.
That's good.
And we used to have a guy from England used to come over to here. We've got a couple of English double-decker trains, and he'd spend 2 weeks, and he would be working on the tram for the whole 2 weeks.
Did he remodel or just did he drive them? Or
No, he just came over and
do whatever he
sanded
needed to do?
it. All right, I'm going to take it up to Morrison Hill, and you'll
Okay.
take it from there, okay?
Okay,
We're better on the floor. I didn't mention that.
okay.
Everybody sitting down, please.
All right. Yes.
Standing not allowed, except for the.
Are we able to open these windows?
Well, you can
We're
try.
making quite a breeze. Oh, okay.
Breeze,
Oh,
plenty
that.
there, holy cow.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to release the brake and come onto the first point at the same time. Smooth start. Pick up. The second one.
So you told me to count two between them, so that's the fastest you would do it, right? If you don't have to, that's misunderstood.
Now if you
Spring switch.
if you accelerate too fast, it'll usually pump the brake over. Well, on a slight hill, there's one shot of air,
Second
one shot of air, and then we just put it on, make sure the car doesn't roll.
So leave it do.
Hang on, I got the camera up there. Oh, that's right. Thank you, Cliff. Just hang on.
Yeah.
All right, all yours.
Okay, so I have to release the brakes.
Bring it back to the lap first.
What lap
The
in?
middle of the okay. Yeah. And we're gonna release that and come onto the first point here. For
Simultaneously?
2 or 3 seconds.
Or- Okay, now do I release it fully, just push it right over there and let it all go? Okay, well, what do they call it?
And be
Breather?
ready to come onto the first point because the car will roll. All right. Okay, that's it. So let it pick up speed.
Should I bring this back?
No, it's fine. That's what we're running. It's fine. Now we do have an overhead brake here. We need the control of. I don't know now. Oh, that's it. I always forget about that. Okay. Now come back. I'm gonna ring the bell for you because we are ready crossing. You know, you could actually go and sit down. The car would keep going.
this is the middle speed, the intermediate speed.
This is the speed it would run at in the city.
Sort of tuned to reach that speed.
Yes, yes.
All these cars will be just based on the.
Yes, and on a trolley car, it's very, very simple. All you do is change the gear. All you have to do. Or put bigger or smaller wheels on it. Same difference, but you don't have to do anything with the controllers or brakes or anything.
Now, we're on the main line at this point. I mentioned volunteers went to build this road banner.
When we got here in 1939, this is the old Atlantic Shoreline track bed. When they pulled out in the 1920s, the track bed, the right of way, reverted to the state. That's the way railroads did it. So when we got here in 1939, the track was gone, the overhead equipment was gone, and the right of way and probably some of the ballast was still here. Now, it took us until 1995 until they tracked some of the various equipment. 96 before we got to Duluth. And what we tell people is it's taken us 75 years to get this far, and we're just about halfway.
Do you think that because of the size of the organization at this point, they'll be able to make faster progress?
Well, we could, and we were having to do it a few years back. The reality is, beyond Telford Park, the track is just through the woods. There's nothing to look at, there's nothing to see. You know, you're just in the tunnel. And then you finally you come out on the one. It would not be an interesting ride. And it would be about 20 minutes. But not very interesting ride.
Now, not that we do this on the stuff first, if we wanted to accelerate, I would just be on.
And we'll do that in a minute. We're actually in a restricted zone, I didn't tell you about, but we're doing that speed, not 15, 16 miles an hour.
And why is this certain track is not?
We're in the middle of replacing this jointed track with welded. And, yeah,
So presumably that's what we've got here, you got those, right?
this is the de-restriction sign, so you can take it up to parallel, you can just stay up for a few seconds, all right?
I would just say,
Come up to here.
bring it back to the middle. And,
20 seconds. That's good. Now you can bring it fairly quickly back up to series, and it'll maintain the speed. Go on, 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 come on.
did we reach the maximum speed during that time, or people were just totally?
Take it up to series, so parallel again. Go on. All the way on. That's it.
Just
Good.
get your bed spread, main bed spread.
Just ring the bell. Get the goose out of the way. All right, come back on the control. Now, what we've got to do is judge the speed here. Go on, up to series. You've got some momentum on the car. I'll tell you when you turn it off, we need to post it to the switches. Right, off there. And right, if you're okay, bring it back to that. Nothing at all. I don't think we'll need the brakes. Going up the hill. Pretty done. We just don't want to come slamming through here too fast. And once we're on the straightaway, we'll just come back and control up. Just 1 or 2 points for a couple of seconds. Not more than that. Don't want to hit this too hard. As soon as you feel the car hit the curve, come back on the control. Go ahead. Not too fast. And off. Now we need the brakes. Stuck on the platform. Come on. Go on. Now the third one was longer than the first, so that's okay.
Well, you can feel that.
Aware of
Definitely
that.
feel more. Nevertheless, I lined it up pretty well. Well, how was it, my dear passengers? Well, we're at the end of the line.
Did you get the optional insurance? It's only 50 cents.
No, we didn't take any insurance.
Well, that's,
We're hoping though this
That's great.
train takes us to the hospital. It doesn't on the hospital route, right?
Yeah. I was explaining a little bit about the museum itself. We've been here since 1939. Some Boston, what was happening in the 1930s is street railway companies all over the country were going out of business. We kind of blame Goodyear,
Ford,
uh,
Chrysler.
no, General Motors, Goodyear, General Motors, and one of the big oil companies. Exxon, well, whatever. What they were doing was to buy up transit the street railway companies, not do any maintenance on them, and the cars were starting to break down. And then General Motors would say, oh, we can sell you diesel buses, and you can run it on Goodyear tires, and you can buy your gasoline from Exxon, and that's what they did all over the country. So the Atlantic Shoreline, which started in Kittery and went up to Biddeford with branches to Kennebunk and Sanford, came up through here. They'd actually gone out of business in 1926, I think it was. And they had taken all the track and the overhead away, and the track bed reverted to the state, and we acquired it from them in 1939. So these Boston students came up to Biddeford in 1939 to ride the Biddeford and Saco cars in the last weeks of service in July of 39. And they ended up buying one of those cars.
Spontaneously? Just
Pretty
right
much.
then and there?
No, that's the story. Pretty
Wow.
much was, in fact, they bought it from the scrap merchant who had already contracted to buy the cars. And they paid $150 for it, which is a lot of money in those days, 1939. And they had to scratch around and come up with the money, but they did. And they had a friendly farmer who presumably lived where you pulled into the museum, who let them put the car on what was the old track bed. There were no rails there, but they could park the car there for a while. And then they got volunteers together, they started laying track, and the first, probably 20 years in the museum, the track went no more than about a quarter mile from basically the front gate, just into what is now the centre of the museum and back again. And then over the years they started building track, building barns, and collecting vehicles. And the peak, I think, of that time was really 50s and 60s, when the bulk of that was achieved, because that's when the most cars were available. The transit systems that had not gone out of business before the war were forced to keep going during the war because there was no other way of getting around. You weren't getting new buses from anywhere, But by the end of the war, they were in pretty bad shape, and they started closing down, and that's when many So our first few cars came from Maine, from New Hampshire, and from Boston, because they're postbound. And then as we got into the late 50s and 60s, we started getting cars from overseas. And we've got a huge collection of cars. Who's he calling? Yeah, so we've got cars from New Zealand, from Australia. We've got one from Japan. It's so small, it came in a wooden crate. And the wooden crate was made of, kind of beautiful exotic Japanese woods, those dark woods. So instead of just smashing the crate, we took it to bits and used the bits to restore some of the other cars. We've got cars from Italy, from Germany. That must be European.
So are these all in sheds or barns or something?
You can see,
They're all
you can see the
protected.
majority of them. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
No, we've got a car from Budapest. We've got 4 double-deckers from the UK. And then the
When you say
American,
double deckers, you mean buses or actually